I pulled into my land and nearly slammed the brakes. 5 bright white cottages stood right in the middle of my family's forest, complete with little pools, patio furniture, gravel driveways, and a wooden sign that said, "Blue Pines Retreat." I wasn't confused. I wasn't mistaken. This land had been in my family for 3 generations, and I knew every inch of it. And yet, here it was, carved up and commercialized, without a word to me. I took a shaky breath. A police cruiser pulled up behind me. Not to investigate the illegal construction. No, he came because someone had reported a suspicious man wandering near vacation homes. That was me, the black man who actually owned the place. If you've ever dealt with this kind of silent erasure, being ignored, dismissed, or outright pushed out of what's yours, like subscribe and drop a comment, especially if an HOA, a neighbor, or just someone with too much power tried to make you invisible. Stories like this need to be heard. My name's Malik Carter, 34, software engineer. I'd been living in Seattle for years, head down, grinding away like everybody else. But after my dad passed, I inherited 40 acres of forest out in Oregon. Land my grandfather bought in the 60s because back then, no one would sell him a house inside city limits. He was a WWII vet, but he was black. So instead, he bought wild land. Land nobody else wanted. Built a cabin with his bare hands. I grew up hearing about it, but never thought I'd actually live there. Until the city burned me out, and that cabin started to feel like freedom. I moved back slowly. Weekends at first, then remote work made it permanent. The first thing I noticed was how the neighbors watched me. Subtle stuff, cars driving real slow past my fence line, people looking, then turning away. The kind of cold you only notice if you've felt it before. And there was Karen. Karen looked like she'd walked straight out of a luxury catalog. Perfect bob haircut, white blazer, pearl earrings, HOA president. She came to introduce herself with a pie that felt like a bribe. Said things like, "It's wonderful you're maintaining the property. You know, some people just let it sit there." Then she said, "Out here, we like a certain continuity. Same kind of people, same kind of values." I smiled and nodded, but I didn't miss what she meant. Weeks passed. I kept to myself, cleared trails, repaired the cabin, fixed the old bridge my grandfather built. Then one weekend, I took the ATV deeper into the woods. I hadn't been that far since I was a kid. The trees opened up near the east side, and what I saw made my stomach drop. Modern cottages, white paint still fresh, decks newly stained. I thought I was dreaming. Then I saw a young couple on lawn chairs sipping wine by the pool. I called out, "Hey, sorry, but do you know whose property you're on?" The guy smiled. "Oh, we booked it through Airbnb. Lady named Karen runs it. Super sweet. Said her family's owned the land for years." My hands went numb. I thanked them and got back on the ATV, heart pounding. When I got home, I pulled out the survey map my dad gave me. That entire area was inside our boundary. My family's name had been on that deed since 1960. No split sales, no easements, nothing. I called Karen. I kept my voice calm, told her I was interested in the cottages, asked to meet. She cheerfully agreed, said I could come by Saturday to discuss investment opportunities. What she didn't know was I spent the next 2 days gathering every shred of documentation I had, surveys, taxes, historic plat maps. I even hired a licensed surveyor to stake out the current property line with updated GPS coordinates. Every single one of those 5 cottages was on my land. Saturday morning, I showed up with a sheriff's deputy, the surveyor, and my lawyer. Karen stepped out of the largest cottage wearing that same white blazer, holding an iced coffee like she was queen of the damn forest. "Malik," she chirped. "What a surprise! I wasn't expecting—" I cut her off. "You've built on land you don't own, Karen." Her smile tightened. "Oh, I think you're confused. My husband and I bought this parcel last spring. I have the paperwork." My lawyer handed her the formal notice. Cease operations, remove all structures, or face a $2 million lawsuit. The sheriff explained the consequences. Karen's face turned pale, then red. She started waving around a manila folder. Inside were transfer documents, supposedly signed by my dad. My dad was in hospice the date those papers were signed. His handwriting was shaky, but not illegible. These signatures looked like they'd been copy-pasted from a birthday card. The county clerk confirmed it. No legal record. Those documents were fake. But that didn't stop Karen. Within a week, she filed a countersuit. Claimed I was harassing her, sabotaging her business. Said she had every right to the land. The judge issued a temporary injunction, which meant, until the ownership dispute was resolved, her cottages stayed up. Then the intimidation started. My mailbox was stuffed with anonymous letters. I saw her SUV parked near my cabin at night. One time, a man in a high-vis vest knocked on my door and said he was there for an HOA inspection. I wasn't in the HOA. Never had been. The final straw? One night I came home and found the front door kicked in, windows shattered, furniture overturned. It wasn't a robbery. Nothing was stolen. It was a message. But they didn't know I'd installed a motion-triggered camera in the trees. It caught everything. The license plate, the 2 masked figures. And when the police arrested one of them, he flipped immediately. Said Karen had paid him cash. Said she called it a property scare. That was enough to escalate things. Karen was arrested. Her lawyer, the one who'd filed those forged documents, was disbarred and charged. And when forensic analysis proved the paperwork was fake, the whole thing collapsed. Karen still tried one last time. She showed up with a new lawyer, offered me $500,000 to let the cottages stay, said I could partner with her, turn the land into a community asset. I stared at her, dead quiet, and said, "This land isn't for sale. Not to you. Not to anyone who thinks they can steal it and call that a deal." The court ordered her to tear down all 5 cottages, restore the land, replant the trees. She had to pay damages, back taxes, and court costs, nearly $2.4 million in total. Her reputation was gone. Her social circle dried up fast. The HOA held an emergency vote. She was removed. Last I heard, she sold her house and moved in with her sister 2 states over. And me? I'm still here. Still walking the trails my grandfather cut by hand. Still watching the pines grow back, one root at a time. I don't feel victorious. I feel tired. Tired of always having to prove I belong somewhere. Of watching people smile to your face while quietly plotting around you. I shouldn't have to fight this hard for something that's already mine. But I did, and I will again if I have to. If you've ever been excluded, harassed, or silenced just because of your skin color or background, share your story in the comments. Sometimes, justice starts with someone brave enough to speak up.